to go see the land of the Gadarenes, the Gerasene demoniac that was over there on that shore. Okay, so from where the Jordan enters the lake, just that part right there, the entire description of Jesus in the Gospels on the Sea of Galilee happens just there. Who knows why that might be? What's all over there? The fishing villages. So all the fishing villages in Galilee were on that shore, and the reason that they're on that shore is because the sediment and silt coming down from the Jordan River on the north side is what the fish are feeding on. So for all these millennia, that has always been the fishing shore of the lake. And so the towns that he's moving in and out of are all those fishing villages on the north side. So he's walking back and forth from the Magdala area all the way across to Capernaum. Bethsaida is over there. All those towns are right next to each other, but walking distance, they're really far away if you think about it. We look at it from the naked eye, or we're driving there back and forth very easily, but if you're just walking it back and forth. So a lot of people, they never, in their entire lives, left that shoreline, ever. They never would have had a reason to. So, starting here on this side, when Jesus came down to do his ministry, most likely came from that valley over there where Magdala is at, okay? And there's an interesting moment that he probably has. I've always thought about this. Tiberias, of course, behind us, that was the new cosmopolitan Roman city. We have no record that Jesus ever went to Tiberias, which is strange because it's right there.
Yeah.
It's close by. Why does the Bible talk about him going to Tiberias and preaching people to repentance and all the stuff that you think he would do, because there's a big population center there? Well, one thought is that as he came down from that valley over there, he could have turned, I always think about this, he could have turned right and done the celebrity preacher thing. He could have walked towards Tiberias. He could have brought all of his magic tricks and all the shows that he does, and he could have gone and made a name for himself in Tiberias, because it's one of the Decapolis, all the Roman cities, the Decapolis area. He could have become famous that way. But instead of turning right to go to Tiberias, he turns left to go to those sleepy little fishing hamlets on that shore. I've always thought that's such a fascinating glimpse, tangibly, when you're looking at this, to think, here's the almighty creator of the universe in human form deciding, no, I'm not going to go where there's flashing lights and everything like that. I'm going to turn left and go to the sleepy little fishing villages over here and do my ministry there. It's a visual representation of what kind of heart that he had. I know most of us would have turned right? But he turned left and went towards the other shoreline there. Those cliffs that are coming into view right there on the left, you see there's a knob of rock that's starting to emerge. Those are the cliffs of our belt. On the bus yesterday, I told that group about Herod the Great, and that's a name you're going to hear a lot on this trip, is Herod the Great, and he became prominent and famous. He was a governor in the Galilee. This region was the Galilee, and he put down a rebellion of people that went up there hiding on the mountainside. There's all these cliffs, or all these caves inside that cliff. So Herod very ingeniously designed a pulley system where he lowered soldiers down over the cliff in baskets, and they had these large hooks. They reached into the caves and pulled people out to their death with these hooks, and that's how he put down that rebellion. So he gained a name for ruthlessness very early on by quashing that, and that was in front of those cliffs right over there, cliffs of Arbel. People ask about the weather. How do storms come up so quick? That canyon right there, what will happen is the weather will mix from the Mediterranean. It will come in, Mediterranean's that direction. It will come rushing in, the air pressure will come in, and then from the desert, air pressure will come from there, and they'll mix and look at giant bowl. So this is below sea level. So all the air is flooding in from both sides, and it creates a cyclone effect. And I've been out here when that happens. It'll be calm like this one day, and then not too long, an hour or two later, it's really choppy and windy, and there's a storm that just comes out of nowhere. It's because it's you're blowing into a bowl, and the wind is just whipping around in a circle. So like I said, it's like a cyclone effect when that happens out here. So we can read about Jesus and the storms and all that. You can see how that physically happens, because that's I was going to read a story that takes place right where you're standing. You guys are up for it, and I will meditate on it, okay? Then we'll shut up, because it's better to experience this without us talking all the time. Matthew 14:22. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. And after he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night he was alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Got one more coming here for you. Mark 4:35. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. And a furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." And the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? You still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Again, this all takes place on this part of the lake right here. So when these get to the boat to go back and forth to different villages, it's from that shoreline to that one. So probably it's a time capsule moment. We've heard me say that several times, is that there's parts of Israel where it's unrecognizable to the people of the Bible. If you were to put them in a time capsule and pull them out in the modern era, they would have no idea where that. Jerusalem was like that. They'd have no idea where they were. But here, they would know exactly where they were. That shoreline over there is where he called the apostles. You know, and that mountainside where you see the banana plantation roofs, it's like the netting on top of that. That's the Mount of Beatitudes. Jesus was there giving the sermon